Welcome to today's episode of Feminists Are Morons If They Think That Men and Women Are the Same. Allow me to elaborate. By the way, it's story time. Catfights over handbags and tears in the toilet. With her women-only TV company, this producer thought she'd kissed goodbye to conflict. Oh. Wow, she was really delusional on this one. But, you know, her intentions were good. Now, this is going to be probably about a 15-20 minute story, guys. So if you don't have time to watch it now, come back later because this is worth sitting down for the whole thing for. Over in one corner sat Alice, a strong-minded 27-year-old who always said what she thought, regardless of how much it might hurt someone else. In the other corner was Sarah, a 30-something high flyer who would stand up for herself momentarily, then burst into tears and run for the ladies. Their simmering fight lasted hours, egged on by spectators taking sides and fueling the anger. Sometimes other girls would join in, either heckling aggressively or huddling defensively in the toilets. It might sound like a scene from a tawdry reality show such as Big Brother, but the truth is a little more prosaic. It was just a normal morning in my office. The venomous women were supposedly the talented employees I had headhunted to achieve my utopian dream. A female-only company with happy, harmonious workers benefiting from an absence of men. This is going to be good. It was an idealistic vision swiftly shattered by the nightmare reality. Constant bitchiness, surging hormones, unchecked emotion, attention-seeking, and fashion rivalry so fierce it tore my staff apart. When I read the other day that Sienna Miller had said there was no such thing as the Sisterhood, I knew what she meant. I can understand why people want to believe that women look out for each other, because with men in power at work and in politics, it makes sense for us to stick together. In fact, there was a time when I believed in the sisterhood, but that was before women at war led to my emotional and financial ruin. Sounds like most marriages from a guy's perspective. 5 years ago, I was working as a TV executive producer making shows for top channels such as MTV and based in LA. It sounds like a dream job, and it could have been if I'd been male. Working in TV is notoriously difficult for women. There is a powerful old boys network, robust glass ceilings, and the majority of bosses are misogynistic males. Let's see how she feels about that statement a bit later on in the piece. Gradually, what had started out as a daydream, wouldn't it be great if there were no men where I worked, turned into an exciting concept. I decided to create the first all-female production company where smart, intelligent, career-orientated women could work harmoniously, free from the bravado of the opposite sex. And working in TV, I'd met lots of super competitive door slammers who'd do anything to get to the top. But I told myself that with the right women, work could be wonderful. So, in April 2005, I left my job, remortgaged my house, freeing up close to £100,000, and began paying myself just £700 a month to set up this utopian business. Having worked extremely hard for 12 years, over a decade, I had lots of experience and a good reputation. What could go wrong? Picking my battles. I hired a team of 7 staff and set up an office in Richmond upon Thames, Surrey. While the women I interviewed claimed to be enthused by the idea, they still insisted on high salaries. Fair enough. I thought at the time they are professionals, and I knew most of them were talented and conscientious because I'd worked with them before. But within 1 week, 2 cliques had developed, those who had worked together before and those who were producing new ideas. Most days would bring a pointed moment when some people were invited out for lunch or a coffee break, and some weren't. Nothing explicit was ever said. The cutting rejection was obvious enough. Even when we all went to the pub after work, strict divisions remained, made clear according to who sat where around the table and who would be civil or not to whom. Fashion was a great divider, though in this battlefield everyone was on their own. Hideously stereotypical and shallow as it sounds, clothes were a huge source of catty comments. From sly remarks about people looking overdressed to the merits of their fake tan application. I always felt sorry for anyone who naively showed off a new purchase in the office, because everyone would coo appreciatively to their face, then harshly criticize them as soon as they were out of earshot. This happened without exception. My deputy Sarah, the general manager, first showed how much style mattered when she advertised for an office assistant and refused to hire the best qualified girl because she could not distinguish Miss Oni from Marc Jacobs. My God. Wouldn't hire an office assistant who was the best qualified because she couldn't tell one brand from another. Wow. This girl would have been making tea and running errands, but I didn't challenge the decision not to hire her because I had a policy of picking my battles carefully. The office was like a Milan catwalk, but with the competitiveness of a Miss World competition and the low cunning of a mud wrestling bout. A fashion spat ended one relationship when Sarah and our young development researcher received the same surprise Christmas gift. A Chloe Paddington bag worth £900. Poor fucking victims both getting the same £900 bag as a surprise Santa gift. When they clocked the matching bags in the office, it was like pistols at dawn. Pew, pew. Right, you can picture it now, pistols at dawn. You feeling lucky, punk, are you? They forced a few compliments, but relations never recovered to the expense of my company. So two women that got given the same bag without even realizing they were going to get the same bag basically became lifelong enemies because they got given the same bag without even knowing it. That's how stupid these people are. Another time when two members of staff bought the same jeans, one proclaimed, "They'll look better on me because I'm a size 8 and she's a 10. It didn't take long for the office to become divided between the girls who wore makeup and those who didn't. Comments from the former were typically, "Doesn't she know what spot cover-up is?" Or, "Has she ever met a hairbrush?" While the no makeup clan were equally biting with comments behind their backs naturally, such as, "People on the morning bus must think she's a prostitute," or the classic, "She looks like a slapper." The obsession with appearance meant nearly all the staff were on diets. If I bought a tuna mayonnaise baguette for lunch, I would overhear staff commenting that I'm a pig. I'm a size 12. Two of the skinny girls often snidely said that about the largest girl. And I quote, "I'd kill myself if I got that fat." One of the assistants got her own back on the food police for several weeks by pretending to buy them fat-free lattes, which were really full fat. Employees considered it acceptable to take time off for beauty treatments, and not out of their holiday allowance. One girl regularly came in late because she was getting her hair colored. And when I mentioned this, she blew up in outrage. Though, at least she had a reason. Most just turned up late regardless and huffed, "That's the time my train gets in," if I pointed at the clock. In hindsight, I can see I should have been more strict. My idealism was my downfall because I tried to see the best in people I was convinced they would behave as they were treated. So I treated everyone kindly. Let's get to the next section. Snide comments. If I had been more cynical, I would have been more successful. I was often out trying to win contracts, but back at the office, work was an afterthought. It came second to conversations about shopping, boyfriends, and diets. Oh, and spiteful comments from my 2 development researchers who were sharpening their acrylic nails against another staff member, Natasha. 6 months after the company's inception, tension spilled over when the researchers took Natasha's laptop. They took Natasha's laptop and refused to return it. That day, I was forced to cancel my meetings and return to the office to patch up relations. Though Sarah, my general manager, was present, she refused to get involved because she didn't want to be the bad cop. Despite being in charge, she was scared at the prospect of being bitched about. It was as though in a women-only environment, staff were unable to keep their defined roles. Soon, arguments became a daily occurrence. It would start with snide comments between 2 people. Then, as others joined in, completely unnecessarily, by the way, as others joined in, emotion and anger would grow until an eruption, shouting, screaming, swearing, which always left someone in tears. Then the friends of the woman who was upset would follow her to console her, leaving one group in the office and another group in the ladies. Both would then bitch unreservedly about each other and do absolutely no work. It reached the point that I even wrote a handbook for staff on how to be nice to each other. The advice centered on being respectful to everyone and treating people equally, taking phone messages properly, whether the call was for me or a junior. I also said there should be no more criticizing or whispering in the office. But although when people read it, they said they loved the idea, it made no difference. Many of the women were aggressive or defensive or both. The most aggressive masked a host of insecurities with their outgoing nature, while the defensive ones opened up only when provoked. The worst type I encountered, however, was the passive-aggressive. She doesn't seem mean, but is the worst of the pack, ruthlessly bringing you down in such a sweet and unassuming manner that you don't even realize what she's done until long after the event. Broken hearts. She conceals her bitchy words in flowery phrases. One of my staff told another sweetly, "I don't mean to be a bitch, but I just can't bear to be in the same room and breathe the same air as you right now." But the biggest force wasn't personality type, it was hormones. When one woman started having IVF, she unleashed her rage without warning and without apology. At that time of the month, which in an office staffed only by women meant someone was always at that point, any bad mood was swiftly passed on to the rest of the team as if by osmosis. Hormones came second as an excuse for absence, and bad temper only to love life problems. When one woman split up with her boyfriend, I was told in no uncertain terms by her that I must be, and I quote, super understanding and sensitive towards her at work. In an email she sent me. A true drama queen. Her tears went on for an entire week. Naturally, her enemies in the office delighted in her broken heart. Another girl juggling 2 relationships at once frequently primed everyone in the office about what to say to whom whenever either of the men called the office. All right, so these women who are on the carousel are coaching their colleagues on what to say to the different men that call them at work. Another woman had a voracious sexual appetite and, in a female-only environment, saw nothing wrong with screeching across the open plan room details of her marathon sex sessions. I received frequent complaints about her crude language. I can still remember the name of all of my staff's partners and their affairs because it interfered with our work so often. Professionally, however, the company was somehow thriving. We secured 2 program commissions, one with ITV and a series with Living TV, so could afford new offices in West London. But this brought another explosion from Sarah, the office manager, when she paid out for a parking permit while another girl was given a free space by the building's landlord. Possibly a landlord that she was sucking off, flirting with, or flashing her tits to. During a massive row, Sarah said the girl had overstepped her rank, while the girl told her it was just tough. They never spoke again. The effect a lack of testosterone was having in our office was even more apparent when I temporarily hired 2 male directors to work on a series. Camera operators are usually men because of the heavy equipment. The team suddenly became quieter, more hardworking, and less bitchy, partly because they were too busy flirting. 2 girls openly went after one director, even though he had a live-in girlfriend. His partner didn't stand a chance against their relentless flirting and was dumped when one of them won his affections. When we had meetings with men, staff turned ferocious, each out to prove that they were the sexiest in the room. With a male commissioner at Channel 4, one employee said, "Watch this," then stuck her hand down her bra and tweaked her nipples. The man and I were speechless. In this climate, I didn't dare employ any men because of the distraction, and even worse, catfights they created. I hate how much that sounds like stereotyping, but I'm afraid it's what I found to be true. And while I stand by my initial reason for excluding male employees because they have an easy ride in TV, if I were to do it again, I'd definitely employ men. In fact, I'd probably only employ men. Making close to $500,000 in our first year should have meant profit, but this was wiped out by high salaries and accounting errors by staff. Then, when we began having cash flow problems, Sarah signed herself off sick with stress for a month. She also confessed she'd been dodging calls from people who were due payment, thus ruining my firm's reputation. By then, I was back and forth on a plane between Britain and the US, dealing with fractious staff in London and balmy LA producers. My general manager was nowhere to be found. Bills hadn't been paid, and the tension in the office was palpable. To pump extra cash into the business, I sold both my cars, but it was too late and we went bankrupt in March 2007. Less than 2 years after I'd formed the company. Though I will not absolve myself of all guilt, I believe the business was ruined by the destructive jealousy and infighting of an all-female staff. Their selfishness and insecurities. Her words, not mine. This is an article written by a female about females. Their selfishness and insecurities led to my company's demise. When I needed the so-called sisterhood, believe me, it just wasn't there. Now, guys, I'm going to give my commentary on this. But in the meantime, smash that thumbs up because only about 1 in 4 of you have done it already. It's so good to see so many of you in the box. This just astounds me, right? So she started an all-female company and she's mortgaged her house. She's ended up having to sell both cars. The stress she underwent from having an all-female company was through the roof. Her female staff wouldn't hire other female staff that couldn't tell the difference between 2 different pairs of designer shoes, even when they were the best person for the job to actually get shit done. You know, like what men do. We get shit done. We have the penis. Tribute to my brother John from MGTOW's Freedom. We will never forget you. And this is just the incredible mindset. right? And I also want to show a massive thank you to Sil and Ree for your generous donations in the live stream. Thank you so much, brothers. I really appreciate you. Very, very kind of you, and I promise it will go to good use. I think this is the first time I've had 120 people in the box at one time. So look, from this social experiment that failed miserably, by the way, I think this is a textbook example of why women shouldn't be in positions of hegemonic power, basically where they have the executive decision over other people. I think it's a textbook example of why workplaces are becoming so painful to work in when they're riddled with women. And look, I've got some female subscribers. I've got some of you in the box right now watching. And big love to you and my male subscribers, of course, 100%. You know, I appreciate all of you because you're rational and logical human beings. You know what women put together in groups are like, right? If any of you have ever observed women in their childhood years at school, you'll notice the cliques, you notice the infighting, the bitching, the snarkiness, right? They will literally attack their best friend for popularity, right? Emily's here right now. She's agreeing with me. She knows the deal. She knows how it works. When I was listening to something fascinating before, actually, and it was talking about how women will attack people they know. Men attack people they don't know, right? And this is fascinating, right? Especially at school, right? Like if you're the outlier, right? If you're not very socially adept, if you're the outlier, you're more likely to bully people, right? Because you don't know them, right? And then if you have a fight, you're more likely to become friends. Whereas with women, they'll be nice to your face, and then they will backstab the most popular girl to try and become the most popular girl. There's a reason why movies like Clueless and Mean Girls are cult hits, because they speak the truth. They resonate with so many women. This is why they're like quintessential chick flicks. This shit is real, right? And this is like, I know there's probably someone that's done this article before. I haven't seen them do it, right? But 2009, right? 2009, this article was in. It's now 2018, 9 years later, and it still rings as true as the day those words hit the keyboard. Emily doesn't waste her time with women. Don't blame you, Emily. Don't blame you. Anyway, guys, I would love it if once this video has finished and processed, you could leave your comments in the section below on YouTube. Really appreciate it. By the way, guys, if you do want to donate, there's PayPal, Patreon, and crypto descriptions in the link below. And if you want to flick me an email, if you just want to, you know, ask me some questions, or if you've got something that you want advice on, feel free to reach out to me. I am here. The reason that I do this channel, guys, is for you men. This is exactly why I do this channel. Elvin, very good advice. She only deals with anti-feminist women or women without their heads up their asses. Great advice for men and women. Anyway, guys, I'm going to tune out now, but please smash that thumbs up, guys. Share this video with people you know will get a kick out of it, or who work in female-only workplaces, or who work in workplaces where they've had enough of the bitchiness, the cliques, the backstabbing and the fighting and all of the frustration. And, you know, I hope they enjoy it too. All right, guys, I'm out of here for now. Oh, by the way, and if you know anyone who's looking to start a female-only business, you share this video with them and tell them to go check out the link in the description. I have shared the source article with you guys if you want to have a read. And I will catch up with you guys very, very soon. Anyway, again, appreciate you all. I will be hopefully doing a green screen video soon. I'm sorry I didn't get to read all your comments, but I really, really love seeing you guys interact on the chats, and I will catch you next time. Peace.